Hello and welcome back. This is section 3, game objects and the scene view. So, if you remember correctly, the scene view is this giant view over here, which holds all the objects currently in a scene. As I said before, a scene is essentially a level in a game where you place different assets and then you can use them in your game. So, again, the hierarchy shows all the objects currently in the scene. So far we have our main camera. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and add some more. Right here, there's a drop-down menu, so it's Create under the hierarchy. And there's quite a few options. We'll eventually get to all of these, but for now, let's just go ahead and add a cube to the scene. Now, as you notice, we have been given a cube, and there it is in the scene. Now, it's kind of far away. I'm going to show you some of the tools and how you move around inside the scene. Now, in the top left corner, you get to see which tool you have selected. This tool is the mover tool, which allows you to move the scene camera. If you just left click and then move left or right, it moves the camera. Now, if you want to zoom in, you can use the mouse wheel. However, there's a much easier way to do this. If we want to get in close, you select a game object, then with your mouse hovering over the scene view, just press F. And now we are focused on our cube. This next tool is the translate tool. This allows you to move an object in 3D space. I'm going to zoom out a little to show you this. You're selecting on an object and you have these 3 arrows. Each of them moves your object in a different axes. This moves it in the x-axis. That's the red arrow. The blue arrow moves it in the z-axis. And the green arrow moves it in the y-axis. And once you click on an arrow, it changes to yellow and you can see which axis you're on. Additionally, there are little squares. And these squares allow you to move it in 2 axes at the same time. So if I click on the blue square, I'm moving in the y and the x-axis, but not in the z-axis. And then the red square is the z and the y-axis, not the x-axis. And finally, the green square is the z and the x-axis, not the y-axis. Okay. Now the next tool we're going to go over is the rotate tool. Click on this, and there's your rotate. You have these series of circles. You can spin the object by clicking on any of the circles and dragging your mouse left or right. So if you click on the center circle, it'll pivot around the y-axis. If you click on the red circle, it pivots around the x-axis. Maybe you're noticing a trend. And if you click on the blue circle, it pivots around the z-axis. Now, one more tool left. This is the scale tool. The scale tool again has these 3 bars, and you can scale independently in an axis. Here's our x-axis, our y-axis, our z-axis. Now also, if you click on the gray box in the center, you can scale all 3 axes together. Now if you find yourself in this position where you don't know how to move around the scene, there are some hotkeys. So if you press Q, it'll switch you to the mover. W takes you to the translate tool. E is our rotate tool. And R is our scale tool. Now, additionally, if you want to move, you're using the translate tool, and you don't want to press Q, if you hold Control, actually Control doesn't do anything. Anyway, if you want to move around, you can click Alt, and then click and drag, and this will allow you to rotate the scene camera. This is very helpful, so that you don't have to worry about, always making your objects look different. So, alternating between Alt and Q, I'm able to move the scene camera to any position I want and kind of give myself a better view of this cube. If you find yourself lost at any point, again, just select your object, hover over the scene view, and press F. and that'll bring you to your object. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of show you the inspector. So first we're going to delete this object just by clicking delete. Now go ahead and click create and get another cube. So the thing we're doing when we move an object is we are altering these values in the top right corner. These values are in the transform of an object, and all objects have a transform. This is just a position, rotation, and scale in the scene. You'll notice as I change each of these, all the numbers kind of change over there in the right. A very important thing is if you click on this little gear and you hit reset, everything goes to the default values. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a wall. So we have our cube, and we would like another cube. You can go down, create another cube if you'd like, or you can duplicate the current cube by going to Edit, Duplicate, or using this hotkey which you see right here, Control D, or Command D on a Mac. Once you duplicate a cube, it's obviously in the same position as the other one, so we can move it away from our other cube using the translate arrows. Now I kind of want these to move to so they're snapped very close together. We're going to use snap moving. So first, I don't want to leave it here, so I'm going to press Control Z, which undoes the last action. Now if you hold Control and click on one of these translate tools and then move the mouse, it will move in increments of 1. This is very helpful for doing things like this. So here we go, we moved our cube. I'm going to press Control D, give myself another cube, now holding down Control or Command, move, I have another cube. I'm going to repeat this process 5 times. There we are. So now we have a row of cubes. If you want, you can select all of these cubes at the same time and duplicate again. Now we have 5 cubes selected, see? Now we don't have to do this so often. Well, we're going to have, let's have a wall 5 units high. Now I'm holding Command or Control and then doing the exact same snap move that I was doing before. And this moves all of the selected objects at the same time. Now, here we go, we're going to do this. We have a wall 5 units high. Many of you may have noticed that our hierarchy is getting really full very quickly. To help combat that, what we're going to do is we're going to use parenting. So we're going to create an empty game object by going to Game Object, Create Empty. Now this gives us a game object, and there's nothing in this game object, it's just a blank object with a transform. I'm going to place this object at 0, 0, 0, and I'm going to call it wall. To rename an object, you can click here in the top of the inspector, or you can right click and rename the object. I'm just going to call it wall. Now I'm going to select all of my cubes in the hierarchy and click and drag them so that you get this when it's under the wall. What this will do is this will parent all of the cubes to the wall game object. Now what that means is these objects are still here, but they move as one unit when I select wall. So now I can move my entire wall up, down, left, right, etc., etc. If at any point you want to select any of the walls or any objects under the wall, just click on this arrow and here are all your cubes. Now, we have some objects in our scene. I wonder if our camera can see them. And in fact, our camera can see them, although the wall is kind of turned. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use E, and I'm going to zoom out so I know where my camera is. Go ahead and turn. Now, again, if you use Control, you get some nice snap turns. These are at 15 degrees. And I'm just going to go ahead and turn my wall so that there it is at 90 degrees. Now we can see our gray wall here in our scene view. That's it for this lesson, moving objects inside the scene. In our next lesson, we're going to go over components.